Life, the program you dare not miss. Brought to you by Crest, the toothpaste that means fewer cavities for all the family.
Look, Mom, no cavities.
And by Ivory Soap, advised by more doctors for baby skin and yours. And now here he is, Mr. This Is Your Life himself, Ralph Edwards.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight's story is a tribute not just to one American, but to Americans who, under circumstances that outstrip imagination, challenge invention, refuse to be crushed by the cruelty and brutality of the communist machine. Our story is so powerful, some of you may be shocked. These lines, "Twice I was born, and twice I have died," are part of a poem describing, in his own words, the life of tonight's principal subject. For he's not only a valiant Marine, but a poet. And most of his poems were written in a prison camp in North Korea. Now, he's been brought out to California and to NBC, so he thinks, to act as a consultant on a new film television series about prisoners of war. Now, he believes he's about to see the film being shot, and in a moment he should come through that. Here he comes now. Ah, Colonel Fritch, how are you?
Fine, Ralph. How are you?
Good. Good to see you. Nice, good. Come on up and see. I'm just walking through.
Come up, Presenter. Ralph Edwards, I'd like to present Warrant Officer Felix McCool.
How do you do, sir? Kind of a sly grin around there. The Marines have landed, and when they land, they want quick action, so I'll waste no time in saying that Felix McCool, indestructible Marine, poet, prisoner of war in 2 conflicts tonight, this is your life. You know the program is your life? You see it, all right. Come on
Looking
up.
for a girl named Marion.
What'd you say, Felix?
Looking for a girl named
Looking for a girl named Marion. That's your wife, huh? This is your life. She'll be here. Don't you worry. Our thanks to you for your help. Lieutenant Colonel Bob Fritch, Los Angeles Marine Corps representative for Armed Forces Information.
Glad to give you a hand, Ralph.
Thanks a lot. Like what?
Like a dream.
Like a dream. Well, I hope it isn't a nightmare. No, let's take Felix, come along with me, will you, please, and tell us what is your job with the Marines now?
Well, at the present time, I'm teaching transportation in Marine Corps Supply School in Camp Lejeune.
Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, yes. Well, you're, something to do with traffic? What is the deal there?
Transportation.
Transportation, yeah. Well, I kind of know the traffic on this stage a little better than you, so stand over here and look around. Will you? This is symbolic of a setting in which you spent nearly 3 years as a war prisoner of the Chinese Reds. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, your courage, philosophy, and outstanding character was an inspiration to many of your fellow prisoners. Come on here and face this wonderful audience here this evening, and turn around. Felix, old pal, you got to face up to it, boy. Here it is. This is mild compared to what you've been through. In a few moments, we'll tell of all of this and much more. Now, if you want to sit down and catch your breath there a minute, will you do that? In the meantime, here is Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter Marguerite Higgins' story in this ad in Current Reader's Digest. A story with this happy ending.
Mom! Oh, Mom! Look, Mom, no cavities.
Oh, Jimmy, that's wonderful. The dentist says no new cavities this visit. I'm glad we changed to Crest toothpaste.
Today, happy scenes like this are taking place thanks to Crest, the toothpaste that stops soft spots from turning into cavities. For proof, let's visit the Midwestern town of Bloomington. Here, over a 4-year period, thousands of grown-ups and children took part in repeated tests on Crest, the most extensive testing program ever conducted on any toothpaste. The results? Well, X-rays and dental examinations showed Crest cut cavities almost in half compared with ordinary toothpaste. That's because Crest, with its special fluoride formula Fluorostan, stops soft spots from turning into cavities. Make Crest your family toothpaste, and you too may hear...
Oh, Mom! Look, Mom, no cavities.
And now let's go go back to 1953 when you, Felix McCool, commissioned warrant officer, United States Marines, are a prisoner of war in a prison camp near Manchuria. You find relief in writing your thoughts in blank verse. On what did you write, Felix?
Well, anything I could find.
Rice
Little
paper?
scraps of paper. Sometimes the wall in the night. I'd hear somebody crying out, saying something.
These poems are later to be published in a book entitled Our Exile. One of your poems, called Remembered Sound, speaks of your earliest childhood memory. The soft sigh of a mother's prayer in the children's room. Your mother is Margaret. Your father, John William McCool. And you're born in Pawhuska, Oklahoma. What was your father's occupation, Felix?
Well, he had a store in Pawhuska. I used to go in once in a while.
He was police chief, too.
Yes, he was the chief of police there.
When were you born?
I was born in 1912.
Perhaps it's symbolic that you, who were to spend so much of your time defending Old Glory, are born on Flag Day. You're the only boy in your family. You have 5 sisters, and I see that you see 3 of them in our audience now. Mary, Cecilia, and Aileen. There you are, right up there. Hi, girl. Your sisters Antoinette in Oklahoma City and Patricia in Miami are proudly watching at their homes right now in that cabin. When you're in the 10th grade, financial circumstances oblige you to leave school, go to work, although you resolve that someday you'll complete your education. In 1929, your father dies, and in 1934, you enlist in the Marines. What was your reason for this, Felix?
Well, possibly the singing Marine, maybe Dick Powell.
Going to see the movie, did it?
No, I wouldn't say that exactly, but...
kind of adventure.
Yes, I saw Marines in the uniform, and I heard something about an education program in 1934.
Yes.
And that the Marine Corps had to offer to the Marines, so...
This would enable you to...
Yes, I could possibly continue my education and then stop.
And having been so strongly surrounded by feminine influences in your family, you choose the most manly, toughest occupation you could imagine, that of being a career Marine. December 10, 1941, the Japanese attacked the Philippines. You're a sergeant with the 4th Marine Regiment at Bataan. Bataan falls in April. Under General Wainwright's command, your outfit pulls out and makes a last stand at Corregidor. What was your assignment there, Felix?
Well, I had to set up some guns on close to Monkey Point. It was on the north sector. RJ-10, RJ-14, along the airstrip. That's North Point.
You're badly wounded.
Heavily.
Right? How were you wounded?
I was shot a few times. Hit in the back of the head, side, the leg, through here.
Your group had been given up for lost, had they not?
Yes, it was finished. I mean, the word was that you'll bleach your bones here. It was Captain Castle's word to me.
Early in May 1942, General Wainwright is forced to surrender.
You and I spent a lot of time together in a Japanese prison camp, Felix.
Yes, like you, Felix, a Marine in the 4th Regiment. He, too, fought at Bataan and Corregidor, now working for the Pinkerton Detective Agency in San Francisco. Here is James Pye. You and Felix McCool were in the Cabanatuan prisoner of war camp in the Philippines, weren't you, Jim?
Yes, we were. And Felix, do you remember the Carabao herding detail, water buffalo you had?
I certainly do, Jim.
And you remember our assignment out on the beach digging sand and gravel?
Ralph Edwards joke, too. I remember one thing about Jim. When they tied him up, and he was hanging up there for quite a few hours, he didn't have any water. And they came up to him, and just a little knife and running under his throat. So they were going to cut his throat. And they flicked the pistol against his head. And they asked him, what did he do? And he said, were you a boom, boom, boom? And Jim said, no. He says, you're Red Cross.
You remember the gravel detail? We were loading the sand and gravel from the beach on the carts, and you'd hide those smuggled items under the cart.
Yep.
You remember that extremely brave woman, the American nurse?
Naomi? Yes.
miss you.
Miss you, Margaret Utinski. I certainly
Yes,
do.
and she did so much for the prisoners, saving lives.
Now, although you've corresponded with Miss Yu, you've never actually met her. And
Not-
we think it's about time you two got together. Here she is, Miss Yu herself, Mrs. Margaret Utinski of Long Beach, California.
After all these years.
How did you and Felix work together,
I'd
Mrs.
like to-
Utinski?
May I ask her one
Yes.
question? Did you ever give me a name? You remember what you named all those other people?
Would you talk a little louder?
I asked her if she gave me a name because she had names for quite a few of those people
I
that
don't
smuggled that
remember,
stuff in.
Felix. I don't remember whether I had a particular name for you or not, but I have one now.
Well, you're going to have a lot of reminiscing after the show this evening. I can see that. How did you and Felix work together, Mrs. Utinski?
Well, I was working with the underground, as Mr. Ty said, and I managed to have money, medicine, and food hidden on the beach and behind clumps of trees. And when Felix would come out with the bull carts, he would find these things, pile them in the bull cart, cover it with sand, drive it into camp, and that was it.
For your heroism, Mrs. Utinski, in alleviating the suffering of American war prisoners like Felix McCool and James Ty, saving hundreds of lives, and as the leader of a group of guerrilla fighters in the Philippines, you were awarded in 1946 the Medal of Freedom by the President. Thank you, Mrs. Utinski. Now a well-known lecturer. You'll see Felix a little later. Thank you. In 1944, with our troops coming close to Manila, you, Felix, and you, James Ty, are removed to Japan. How, Jim?
They put us aboard a transport. There were 1,600 of us in a hold. Conditions were so bad that we called it a hell ship.
In Japan, your paths separate. Thank you, James Ty. In Japan, Felix, you're put to work in the Hanko coal mine in Futase City. You're supposed to help Japanese war production. Instead, you and your fellow prisoners become saboteurs. Now, could you describe some of the sabotage?
I might need some help.
Well, you lean against drills for one thing. Didn't you throw some rocks into the conveyor belt?
Well, one of the things they had the tracks came down and they had a switch in the middle, and we had these little hooks, so we testing rock hammers, Akita or Ibu. We'd hit the overhead to see whether the wall was going to fall in on us when it was back in after an explosion. But
Put false bottoms at
right,
timbers.
we put false bottom timber, and we also took the Tong King, which was the switch, was the switch of these cars coming down the grade in the mine, and when they would come down, they would crush into the side of the wall and pile up 8, 10, 15 cars in the mine.
Your captivity ends only with the finish of World War II in 1945. You've spent more than 3 years as a prisoner. Your decorations include 2 Purple Hearts. You receive a letter of commendation from President Harry Truman. 1947, you make warrant officer. You have, through education courses in the Marines, received your high school diploma and now take additional courses for college credit. 1949, your mother passes away. 1950, the Korean War. You and your brother Marines of the 1st Marine Division fight from the Naktong perimeter to the Chosan Reservoir, near the frozen, desolate wastes of Manchuria. And again, your luck runs out.
Felix, I was one of your senior officers in the convoy when we were attacked by the Chinese Reds.
Once again, you proved that you were a mighty good Marine, Felix.
We should all be grateful to you, Felix, for some of the fine things that you've done.
3 of your gallant comrades in arms, Felix, from Camp Pendleton, California, Lieutenant Colonel John N. McLaughlin and Major Ernest Richard Reed. And from Portland, Oregon, now a major in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve, Alan Lloyd. Will you please tell us what happened to the convoy that you were in, Colonel McLaughlin?
We had a mixed convoy of American Marines and soldiers and British Marine commandos. The Chinese succeeded in cutting the column by destroying a truck and were able to surround about 125 of us. And we were able to resist and to hold these people off till about 5 o'clock the